Welcome to Adventure, an e-commerce podcast that isn't just about numbers and profits. It's about the visionaries who have left an indelible mark on the e-commerce landscape. Today's guest has always been interested in finding clever solutions to problems and mixing up old structures. That's why in 2019, after his own fair share of experience in the Amazon business, he founded SPACEGOATS. SPACEGOATS simplifies global expansion for your e-commerce business. As the CMO of the company, he's currently overseeing the marketing and sales department. So welcome to Anton Herman. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me. And beside that, we're also a BidX customer and very happy with your tool. So
we're going to make a short out of that, Anton. We'll put that everywhere.
do it.
Thanks for shouting that out.
We could just got the podcast there, but let's be fine.
Short and sweet, that's all we needed. So let me ask you, it seems as though Amazon changes almost on a daily basis. So in your opinion, have things gotten easier or more difficult in regard to expansion and compliance? What are some of the issues sellers face in regard to that? And are there geographic areas that are, notoriously known for being difficult as far as compliance goes?
Great question, and there is, as always, no easy answer to this. So it got easier in the sense that Amazon is overseeing the market, or at least right now I'm speaking for Europe. In Europe, we have the Digital Markets Act, which will go, the last part of it will go online by the end of the year 2024. So Amazon now is liable for what's going on their marketplace. And now your question, is it easier or tougher to start? If you are established company, established corporate, which has all the compliance already in place, which did the homework, everything is fine, everything is registered, all the lab tests are approved, then I guess you will have a good life. And if you're, I say, one-hit wonder, one-man show seller guy who did not do the homework so far, then things will be tougher in the near future, especially this year. So both, yeah. But I think that's for the compliance part in an answer. But now let's talk about how to launch a product on Amazon. Did it become easier or more difficult? Also, so because I'm also staying in Europe for now. Before we started our company, there was no option to store your goods in different countries without applying for VAT in these countries. Amazon made it easier with the call of stock program, so that it's a kind of a consignment agreement, so that Amazon can store the products in different countries, but they will buy them on behalf, like it's kind of a drop shipping situation. So this thing became easier. In the same at the same time, the Digital Markets Act make things more difficult, as you have to be compliant, otherwise you will be just kicked out of the market.
Yeah, I mean, it's always one of those answers like yes and no. For those that are listening, though, can you give us a brief summary on what does that mean to be compliant?
So there are different levels of compliance. The first level, I would say, is the label compliance. So that's the easiest way to be not compliant, because you can see if you are compliant in the product images, or we do compliance checks. We also do compliance checks for not SPACEGOATS customers, and we go into the reviews where customers actually shoot product images, and you can identify from the images if the product, or at least the labeling of the product, is compliant or it is not. So that's, I would say, the first part. So label compliance. The second part is marketability in general. Am I allowed to sell this product in this region in general? Do I need lab tests? Do I need REACH declaration? Do I need specific certification? Am I a medical device? That's super tough and not easy to answer, because every product, you think about a product that is easy, it might be difficult, and the other way around. So that's the second part, the marketability in general. And the third part is the I don't know the English term for it, but let's call it distance sales. Distance sales means I buy stuff in the internet or on the internet. The marketing you do can be also not compliant. So if you have health claims, you state that the product is healing some sickness which you're not allowed to because there is no proof for it, then you can directly violate this one. And Amazon became, that's our experience, pretty good in identifying these health claims or distance sales violations. And yeah, I would say that are the 3 levels of being compliant. Product compliance, yeah, that's one part, and then you have tax compliance. You have other parts, but for product compliance, I would say.
Well, I'm already overwhelmed. I can't imagine as a seller thinking about expansion.
Yeah.
I know just being in the United States, there's many things that we allow environmentally, and even like with our FDA, our Food and Drug Administration, that are perfectly acceptable in the United States, but may not be compliant in another country. And trying to figure out when you're trying to expand what's allowed in a certain area and what's not.
Yeah, that's super funny that you say, you bring the USA example. In some ways, you are super easy in the States. Like easygoing, you can just start and see how it goes. And in other areas, you're like very stricter than we are in Europe. But I would say in general, it's the case in the US, you can do things just like that. But if shit hits the fan, then it really hits the fan.
You can swear.
I try to not swear too much, but I think that was the best metaphor here. For Europe, it's exactly the other way around. You have to have everything up front before you even can start doing things. But if you're not 100% compliant, then the damage you create is not that big. I'm not saying that there's no damage. There are fines and you can go broke on this as well, but not as bad as in the States. Plus, and that was something I had to learn because we don't have it here in Europe. In Europe, you always have, like, I make it easy, so not legal advice, blah, blah, because it's deeper than my answer now. You have one liable institution or one liable person, one liable company. And in the end, you can always throw everything on this company. I don't care. I bought it from this European guy. So he's the responsible. He was the guy who imported the product. So he's responsible for everything that's going on afterwards.
And Amazon actually calls that responsible person, right?
Yes. And in the States, you don't have it. In the States, everybody in the value chain can be liable. And it makes super tough to explain a German company like, okay, we bring you into the States. We have one wall of defense, we have an insurance, we have a second wall of defense, and blah, blah, blah. But we cannot guarantee, because the American law doesn't allow it, that you're completely out of the equation. We cannot guarantee it. And that's completely different in Europe. And it has, again, advantages and disadvantages.
So do you this Amazon has clearly made, e-commerce a global phenomenon, right? So do you foresee any sort of unified compliance just to ease this? And also, just as a follow-up to that, all of these regulations are for consumer protection.
Yes.
And it seems like there's a really fine line between enough consumer protection and a fair marketplace, creating the system where you're really not allowing easy entry for the little guy. How does somebody sort of bridge that gap? And is it healthy?
Things get only more complicated. It's very rare that things get less complicated. We had that kind of miracle here in Europe the year before last year, I guess, where we had this unified VAT story of one-stop shop. But in general, it gets more complicated. I don't know if you know many laws which got deleted.
No.
If a law is
it's always more regulation.
Yes, there's always more regulation instead of less regulation. As I said, it might sometimes happen that things get unified. And in Europe, we actually try to do so. We try to unify our laws by the European Union. But every country has its own motivation, has its own veto rights in some cases, so that we just cannot find a common tongue. So I must disappoint the audience. I think things are going more complicated than less complicated. But to answer your second or your side question, all this is not to bother sellers, to bother companies, to destroy innovation or whatever. It's there to protect the end consumer, which can't know everything about specific products, about the danger specific products have, the danger of materials, and so on and so forth. So I think, and now my conclusion, I think if you do your homework, you will have a good time. And if you're too lazy or too thingy to do your homework, you will be kicked out of the market. That's what I think. And what also is a nice side effect for, I'm staying in Europe again, for us European sellers, we got a lot of scam valuations from far east Chinese sellers, which didn't do anything to make their products compliant. And as a father, I don't want to buy products where I don't know that my child can play safely with them. I make an example. I said this like this liable person, responsible person. We call it EC rep, like EU conformity representative. Every non-European Union company needs to have it. Some company which is inside European Union and liable for the products. Also Chinese sellers. So Chinese sellers cannot put their own address on the packaging or on the product as they are not in the European Union. So they go to services where they actually book the responsible or EC rep service, which don't exist at all. And that's
it's like a PO box somewhere, huh?
They just, or sometimes they just make it up. They just make it up and write EC rep, and then they make up some address and just put it on the packaging, because then you can directly see, okay, there is an EC rep, a nice check. But I bought some night lamp for my son, like a bulb, and the EC rep was made up. And then you are afraid, you don't want your kid to use that lamp next to the head in the night.
Who knows what's in it? Yeah.
And if something goes wrong, then nobody's even liable. You cannot even put somebody in jail because the person or the company or whatever is on the packaging doesn't even exist. So in my opinion, of course, it's annoying, but to protect the people in the European Union and also the guys which do their homework, I guess it's better than it was 6-7 years ago when I started. Oh, it's 8 years already.
So the reward seems like definitely worth the cost then.
Yes. If you are compliant, you can sleep better, and you're.
They sent that lamp to the wrong guy, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. And now I'm checking every product I buy on Amazon. The hard truth is 4 or 5 are just not existing of this EC
So what
rep.
are the ramifications of that? If Amazon were to find out that this EC rep doesn't exist,
they have to ban the account, but the problem is that they have the ability to open up new accounts while we don't. So if I get blocked on Amazon with my company, I cannot just open a second account. Amazon will directly identify it and directly block it. For the Far East guys, they have an industry there with Amazon accounts, sharing Amazon accounts. So they just open a new one and do the same again. But now things at least got more difficult over the last 2 years, and they will be even more difficult to cheat. So I think it's a good development, but you need to take some money in the hand up front.
Yeah, that's been the trend.
Into that a little bit more there. One of the main features that you guys offer as SPACEGOATS is this concept of EPR, extended product responsibility. I think that's something that most of our listeners would have no idea what it is or why they should use it.
So our core, what we do is we sell products of other companies through our Amazon account all over Europe, UK, and the USA. And to do so, because it's our account and we don't want flags in our account, it's like our eyeball, we have to be compliant and we have to test every product which is sold on through our account for compliance. So that's one need we had, and we solved it with some technology and also with some experts. So we check products for compliance, not only for our customers. We expanded it for one-time purchase, so you can just book one-time purchase. Hey, I need a label check. I need a lab test for the European Union. So that's one pillar is we do product compliance checks and product compliance consulting, and also because Amazon removed, and I mean, we are like entrepreneurs and we try to be, you know, a bit smarter than the market. And we saw that Amazon is killing the responsible address service by the end of March, like this month. And we said like, hey, we do the compliance checks anyhow. So if somebody is approved by us, we know the product is compliant. Why not allowing them to use our address on their product or on their packaging, so that they actually can keep selling in Europe? So that's like, but it's not something big on a big scale. Our core business is we sell products. Our second core business is we do compliance checks. And if somebody's not in the European Union and want to sell in the European Union, it has no responsible address. There are also other service providers, you can go to them, but that's also something we just offer because there's no big effort needed, no new processes, and so just a contract.
You said that like about 4 out of 5 don't really have that compliance from like the consumer side. Can you only find that out by digging into the product detail page? Or do you think like maybe if Amazon were to implement, I don't know, maybe some sort of badge of compliance or something, it could help out?
That would be nice. I know what you mean. That would be nice, but we call it in Europe, make marketing with obvious things, and it's forbidden. Just, I don't know the English term for it, but that's the context. This means like if you are selling in the European Union, you're a company and you're selling, you don't need to write on, or you are not allowed to write on the listing, you get a invoice with VAT, because you have to give an invoice with VAT because it's the law. So you cannot make marketing with, hey, you get an invoice from me, so you pretend that from others you don't, but that doesn't work. And the same for compliance. If it wouldn't be compliant, Joseph, then you wouldn't be allowed to sell it anyhow. So this label would be the same category of, hey, this product is, of course it's compliant, it has to be compliant, otherwise it wouldn't be allowed to be on this website. So unfortunately there is no badge. What means unfortunately? It's logical that there is no badge. I don't know what the regulation in the States is regarding this topic. Maybe you get a compliance badge, but I cannot imagine that. And to your first question, how to identify it, it depends 100% on the product, but I don't want to be a lawyer, so I give you at least a few concrete tips. So the first part is product detail page. You check if they are bullshitting around. As I said, like, hey, you get an invoice from me, or you get a warranty, which is anyhow done by law, or fixed by law, that you have to give a warranty for this product for, I don't know, 12 months or 24 months. So that things, if you see that kind of things, you know directly if there is one problem, there might be more than this one problem. So there are like easy red flags which you can directly see. So that's from the listing side. The second part would be always to check the product images, or as I said, the reviews in the images in the reviews. If a product name is on the packaging, if the EC rep or some liable company is on the packaging, if it's a, I don't know, medical device product, there must be some little factory on the packaging. So there are like some things you can directly see on this. And the third level, I would say, is ordering the product and then opening the product. For example, there's like one rule many just don't know, especially smaller brands. This address on the packaging, this liable responsible person, it must be, that's the actual rule, it must be on the product itself. And if it's not possible, it can be on the product packaging. So the rule is it must be on the product. Especially smaller sellers, they don't know it. They all put it on the packaging, although they have like huge like products where it's easy to put it on the product itself. So if this is the case, you can directly see, okay, the product is not labeled correctly. Another example is the CE mark. That's why I put out my phone, my earpods here. They must be on the product directly. It doesn't matter how you do it, but you have to do it. And in the earpods, I don't know if you see it, the CE mark is directly inside the inside the not the package, inside the case, so that the design is not destroyed. It's still super white and nice, but inside is the CE mark. And there are like tons of categories which are different, and then you have exceptions of exceptions, and big brands stand for themselves, and blah blah blah. But in general, that are like easy ways to identify if the product is not compliant. And most of the products from smaller sellers are not compliant. They have some problem, at least one or two.
Transitioning away from that a little bit, one of the main things that you guys offer is your Galaxy. I would just say like your Galaxy View, like one of the main selling points for you guys. Tell me a little bit about that and how it makes you stand out.
I would say it's a tech enabler for the core business, and the core business is making revenue on other markets or on Amazon marketplaces all around the world. That's the core. That's the benefit why you come to us, and to make things easier, more transparent, scalable. We build our own softwares, plural softwares. We have the ground control, which is not on the website. That's the administrational software to operate smoothly and cost efficient. So all this claims from Amazon get into our software. If you upload products, if a customer uploads a product, we see it in our software so that we can just push some buttons and upload them to Amazon. So that's the ground control. And the Galaxy is the steering wheel for your business with SPACEGOATS. So I wouldn't say it's the thing why people are coming to us. It's just a USP compared to competition, and we see as competition classical retail. So you're a brand, you're a producer, manufacturer, and you don't do B2C. Most of them don't do B2C or D2C. Most of them, they do B2B, selling into the retail. Now you're selling into the retail, and the retailer puts your products online, on Amazon, for example. You don't see anything. You just know when he orders again, and you see, it's good or not. And that's what we basically cut out of this equation, this non-transparency, and we want to be fully transparent. You can allocate your marketing expenses, you can change images, you can change content, you can see how much money you earned, you can see how much money you earned in which location, you can see which location each product works in each location, you see the stock situation, you can create shipping plans. It's a remote control for our Seller Central, as we cannot give you full access to our Seller Central, but you still have the transparency as you would have your own Seller Central. So I wouldn't say it's the product itself, it's just the tech enabling for our core value, and core value is revenue on Amazon all over the world.
Well, that leads me to, I have to ask, I love the consistency with your brand, the feel and aesthetic of your website. So I have to ask, what's the origin story of the name SPACEGOATS?
Yes, so goat can be the animal, goat, which always wants to climb up. So the goats are, the mountain goats, they are standing in the mountains and they always go up. But goat is also greatest of all time. So it's both. And we give our goats the space to be great, and together we are the SPACEGOATS. Okay, so you come to us, you're the goats. For us, all of our customers are goats, and we create the space so that they can be successful in this e-commerce world.
Well, I know your background is with one part of your background is with Planet Bamboo. So those insights and all of that sort of, environmental protection, ecology. Did you bring all of that? That seems to be a passion of yours? And it seems like you kind of transitioned that into your wife.
My wife. So I was studying mechanical engineering here in Stuttgart, and I had a good time. My semester abroad in Taiwan, and so I basically had 6 months of full-time vacation because the university was so easy. Then I came back to Germany, and then I said, okay, you chilled enough. Now it's time to work. And then I said, okay, what can I actually do with my skill set? And then I was looking for business models, and then I found some YouTube video on Amazon for Amazon FBA, and then I digged into that rabbit hole, and then I convinced my today's wife, past girlfriend, to go this track with me, and we were talking about different kind of products, like bondage sets, like also weird products. And she said, like, no, if we sell something on Amazon, it must be something she can actually relate and
believe
then
in.
said, yes, believe in. And that's why we started this Planet Bamboo brand. Looking back, it was, to be honest, because we are not trash talking here, to be honest, it was one of the biggest failure, or not the biggest mistake of my business career, to go for this sustainable brand instead of just doing Amazon FBA, selling products which are selling, identifying. It was 2016.
It's a different story now. That's hot right now.
Blue Sea was Blue Sea. You could buy reviews. We never did it. There was different ways. Like you give a product for free, basically like a Vine program today, but with third-party tool providers. And instead of just sourcing different products with high volume, we were limiting our product category to this sustainable thing, and so you were way slower than the others around us.
To scale up, you mean?
To scale up with our own money. So I think we should have just gone for cash flow products. That would be way better. But that's how you learn other stuff.
I was going to say, it had to have been a huge learning, and to take on becoming a seller and getting married, starting a business together. What a challenge.
Yeah, it was a challenge. but
I noticed,
but all good.
I noticed that you recently made a post on LinkedIn specifically talking about how you use AI. So talk to us a little bit about that, your specific uses for it, both personally and with the company. Kind of what direction do you see that going? And are you going to be integrating more AI into SPACEGOATS in the near future?
I think it's unavoidable to integrate more AI. I'm all the time. I'm having use cases. I'm real life. Just right before this call, I want to go to. I'm planning my event year now, and I found a website with thousands or 10,000 of events, like fairs and conferences. And I'm a lazy guy, so I'm way too lazy to click on each of them and write them into some spreadsheet or some Notion table or whatever. So I'm looking for a scraper, an AI scraper, which automatically goes. I did not do it. I was just researching and booking a demo just right now to scrape the websites and integrate the data into some spreadsheet so I can filter it, so I can sort it. And so that was just a recent example. But what I do in general is I have my specific GPTs daily basis. I'm doing it on a daily basis. I have one sales assistant GPT. So I uploaded sales emails, I uploaded our contracts, I uploaded our pitch deck, I uploaded a sales pitch deck, I uploaded everything related to sales to this GPT. And his role is to write good emails, to write good content pieces, to answer, I don't know, LinkedIn messages, to do sales for me in the way I talk. And
your tone, yeah.
Yes, I think that's the biggest challenge by far, for me at least, because even with the GPT, I cannot take any piece just like that and send it out, because it's always something, these words. I'm thrilled. Nobody in Germany, at least, or in Europe, is using the word thrilled.
Being from the United States and working for a German company, it did not take me long to realize that.
Nobody's using that fancy word.
No exclamation points, no.
Or seamless expansion. Like there are like buzzwords, and everybody who has at least some touch with AI will identify that's in AI content. So it shouldn't look like AI, but it should be AI to save time. So that's one big challenge. But I guess we can. Yeah, it will be better over the next months, maybe with GPT-5. I don't know. It's like an oracle, but that would be one use case. I have my GPT for my sales emails. I have my GPT for my LinkedIn content. So I also the same story. The topics I talk about, some insights, some white papers, some blog articles, some whatever. I built up a knowledge base. and ask the AI when I have an idea. I'm asking like, hey, I have an idea to write a LinkedIn article about this or a LinkedIn post about this, and it will write me down. And also this AI articles, they were the same. And then I optimize with my own voice, not only the voice or the tone, also the content itself, because it must be something I really do. Otherwise, it will be not. People will not believe me anymore after a few.
That's funny that you brought up buzzwords though, because I've run into the same thing. My content, can be similar, and so when I'm using ChatGPT, almost every time it'll use the words unleashing, unveiling. Like there are definite, flags that it was written by AI.
Yeah, and to avoid it, you have to always put some energy into it. And in the end, people want to read content from other people and not from AI, I think, at least for now. As long as we are smarter than the AI, maybe it will change at some point, but for now at least. So that is also for my LinkedIn content. Another thing is projects, project plans, everything related to projects. I never start on a white sheet anymore. I always directly write to ChatGPT, to my I have different areas of competence and different areas of responsibility, and I have a C-level GPT, a marketing GPT, a sales GPT. So for the different areas, there's the different knowledge bases. And for project management, I take the C-level GPT, and then I say, hey, I have this and that project, give me some ideas. And then I elaborate together with ChatGPT what I'm actually, what I want to achieve. I mean, that's pretty obvious. Everybody knows that. But one hack, and I'm so surprised that nobody knows that, or many people do not know that, Perplexity. Have you heard about Perplexity, Joseph? No?
Yeah.
I haven't.
You do? You do?
Yeah, an alternative that it's, I think one of the main differentiators is not only like the quality, but the fact that it gives you like sources that you can refer to.
Yes, amazing tool. So it's the sweet spot between Googling and using ChatGPT. So it kind of uses Google, but in a chat way. So that's not a search engine; it's an answer engine. So for example, you ask, that's what I always do when we have new leads. What is the revenue of company X? So it scrapes the internet, it scrapes Google. We have like these registers where public companies or private limited companies have to report the numbers, and it just scrapes this, and just in one answer, bam, that's the story. That's the revenue. Or
saves you hours of Googling and hitting different websites.
Yes. And I don't know how it's in the States, but we have the cookie banners, and you have to admit, or it's super annoying. So it's not only one click, it's always at least two, but most of the times 3 clicks to actually get into the page where you might not find what you actually were looking for. So that's what Perplexity removes completely. And I strongly recommend to everybody who's listening to test the tool, not only test the tool, integrate it as a second search engine or answer engine. Another example, just do it with Perplexity itself. Then you will be impressed who actually gave money to the company. How much money did Perplexity raise, and from who Perplexity raised the money. And it will scrape Crunchbase and PitchBook and all this in VC investor platforms, and it will just give you the information which you would look for. 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, maybe even longer, maybe shorter, but in general like 5 to 10 minutes, and you will just get the answer right away. And who invested is NVIDIA. So I believe strongly in NVIDIA because they are leading the game. And who I also believe in is Jeff Bezos, and he also invested into the company through some investment vehicle, but he's also in the game. And NVIDIA and Jeff, what could go wrong here? So,
yeah, that's not going anywhere anytime soon, then, I don't think.
Yeah,
all-star investor team.
Yes. There's also some other big Magnificent Seven company, but I cannot remember that word. Do I actually remember? And
we're up against the clock a little bit, so I'm just going to offer you some time really quickly to talk to us about your latest project or anything you want to shout out.
Last point about AI at SPACEGOATS, and then your question, Joseph, regarding the Galaxy. We have some kind of Galaxy AI feature, which helps you to translate search engine optimized listings into different languages, and combined with our processes, it's a very nice way of getting a huge quantity of listings on many different marketplaces, because you can do bulk operations. Small marketplaces don't need, in my opinion, professional translations for hundreds of euros. My opinion, maybe there are some products where it's useful, but especially if you have like a big variety of products and you want to launch in 10 countries, it's a huge amount of money which you need to pay for translations, and also a huge amount of time you would need to upload this product. So few clicks, and then the quality is of course not as good as you go to Jana of YLT translation. Of course, it's better, but 60 to 80% you will achieve that method. And in my opinion, core marketplaces do them professionally, but for the smaller marketplace or for the not super profitable products, just go for the automation. And now, thank you very much for pitching time. I already said what we are doing. I don't want to add too much more.
No, that sounds brilliant. Yeah, that sounds brilliant. Well, one last question before you go. Just because we ask everybody, our podcast is called Adventure. So what's the biggest adventure, best adventure you've ever had?
In my business life?
No, in life.
6
Let's
months.
see, we've had jumping out of airplanes, we've had
yeah, it's not that crazy. I was 6 months, as I said, in Taiwan. It was the best time of my life, and I don't think it will ever be that again. Of course, it will be good as well, but it will be always different because I had no responsibility at all over there, no kids, nothing, and it was just enjoy the life. And I think that was nice. And then all this China trips, like China is crazy. If you go to China, that's going to a different planet, and nobody understands shit. You don't understand anything. No English signs.
That's an adventure. That's an adventure.
But you always figure it out. And that was my learning. Don't be afraid. Go wherever you want. You will always figure it out. The locals will help you, even though they will not understand you at all. They will try to help you with Google Translate. And so, yeah.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned National, the National Taiwan University.
Yeah.
NTU. So, I was going to ask you about that because it is, I think, the most prestigious school in Taiwan, right?
Yeah, but it was just a science fraction of it, so it kind of doesn't count like it would be this prestige thingy. It's it's the campus next to it. I don't know if they actually are connected to each other, but they have the same name: National Taiwan University and National Taiwan University of Science and Technology. So I don't want to get credits where I don't deserve them.
I had visions of you like partying at Harvard over in Taiwan or something.
No. We were there in this gym and blah, but our school system, and I think your school system over there, especially on the good universities, I don't know it's uncomparable. At least for me, it was uncomparable. It was so freaking easy, so that I thought like.
But maybe that was the impetus of you thinking on a global scale. You know, all of that traveling when you were young and.
Yeah, I was full blown technology, like math and this mechanical engineering. So it was like a international discipline, I would say. Math is international.
Yeah. Sure.
But it was a good time. We had a good time.
Okay, there you go. Everybody needs to go to Taiwan.
Yes.
Well, we're out of time. I just want to thank you so much. You're an amazing guest. I learned a ton. We'll make sure that we put your info into our show notes, and everybody that's listening, subscribe and stay tuned for more interviews in the future. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
Take care.